Hello, thank you so much for joining me again for part two of social media safety presentation. Again, my name is Laura Sanford. I'm a prevention specialist at Foundations Behavioral Health Services and also a school-based therapist as well. I'm a part of the Mercer County Prevention Coalition, and I'm an adult ally for the Mercer County Youth to Youth group. And I actually had some of my Mercer County Youth to Youth students, they're the ones who actually put this presentation together the times that we presented it, and they presented it with me. But we're kind of socially isolated right now because of the whole coronavirus threat. So I just thought now, like I said in the last video, now seems like such a good time to have that conversation about social media safety because a lot of our young people are on social media, especially even more during this time. So I'm just going to kind of continue where I left off. And if you didn't see the first video, I encourage you to check it out. There's a lot of good information in there. And I have some more information I'm going to share with you today. All right. So there's my information again. Some of the groups I'm a part of. All right, so we're going to just start off today just sharing about some statistics regarding social media. So 9 out of 10 teens ages 13 through 17 use social media platforms of some sort, and 71% use more than one. So I would say that this is probably increasing daily, but that's my unprofessional opinion in that area. So 85% of teens ages 13 through 17 use the video sharing platform YouTube. I still hear a lot of students when I meet with them, I'm just saying, you know, I'm going to become YouTube famous and all this stuff. Yeah, some people do, but not all people will. So Instagram is used by 72% of 13 through 17-year-olds. Twitter is used by roughly 32% of 13 through 17-year-olds. Snapchat is used by 69% of youth in the above age group. So those 13 through 17-year-olds again. Facebook is still popular, like I said in the last time, but it's actually declined among American youth. Its popularity ranking higher among families reporting a lower income. And the reason being for this is because, like I did mention in the last video, is that youth may not have access to data or a phone number, but a lot of them have phones or some sort of device where they can download apps. And Facebook is one of those apps that you can use Facebook Messenger on, which you can do some video chatting, you can do you can use Messenger, which is kind of like text messaging. So a lot of youth actually use this instead of a phone, or just in general, a lot of teens use, like, they may snap somebody instead of texting or something like that. So just interesting. So how can it be used for good? How can social media be used for good? It can be used to encourage others. I know some of you have probably seen this on social media as people are encouraging other people, sharing information or news, communicating with friends or family. I apologize for having that covered up. Educating others, getting or giving advice, business marketing. A lot of businesses, some businesses don't even have websites. They have Facebook pages that are free. So they can also, it also says that they can help people with social anxiety. So maybe somebody who's not comfortable talking face-to-face with somebody, they may be able to say through a text message what they wish they could say face-to-face. So that's something else that, and obviously there's more good than this, but these are just some of the ones that our youth came up with. All right, so how can it be harmful? And we did talk a little bit about this in the last session. Cyberbullying can happen. People could be sending messages that are inappropriate, or pictures that are inappropriate, like sexting. For example, Instagram stories and Snapchat messages disappear, quote unquote, unless you save them. People get notified. Once again, I did mention this in the last session I did. And Yeah, I guess I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. There's a lot of inappropriate stuff that goes on via social media, whether it's bullying, inappropriate messages, or, you know, I feel like I hear this story a lot, is that maybe like a girl maybe sent an inappropriate picture of herself to a boyfriend, and then they broke up, and then he shared it with his friends, or, stuff like that. And a lot of unfortunately bad stuff can happen. And these things can, even if you delete something on your phone, it can still be pulled. So if the police ever like confiscated a teenager's phone who maybe had some child pornography or something like that on it, it can still be confiscated. Um, Stalking sometimes happens, especially if people are sharing, they don't have their privacy settings set up right. Um, there's also something called FOMO, which stands for fear of missing out. So, for example, there might be a teenager sitting at home on a Friday night, and they're seeing people from their school posting pictures of a party that somebody's at, or something, or that people are at, and they just feel they're like, well, I feel like I can at least be a part of this party if I'm viewing it this way. But then they also have that depression sometimes that comes with it. Well, like, why was I invited to that party and stuff like that? Or they're constantly checking their messages. This probably goes a little bit more with FOMO. They might be constantly checking their messages because they're afraid they're going to miss something. And even as adults, sometimes I'm sure you've had the issue of you leave your phone at home for 3 hours or whatever, and you're afraid, oh my gosh, I bet I have 15 missed calls. I don't know how many times this has happened, and literally I get home and I have like one text message, and but all day there might have been some anxiety because because you think you're going to miss out on something. Anxiety and depression, we talked about this a little last time too, that sometimes teens have a false idea of of what you should look like because pictures are photoshopped and all of that good stuff. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectations because of social media, some of the apps and stuff. Also can increase negative body image, comparing yourself to others, those sorts of things. Unhealthy sleep patterns. This one's a kind of obvious one, but unhealthy sleep patterns, okay? A lot of times teenagers might be like on their phone, like right before they go to bed, then they have a hard time sleeping. A lot of it's because of, their brain is like interested in the screen, like the brightness of it, all of that stuff. So it can definitely contribute to that. Or if they are getting text messages in the middle of the night and waking them up, sometimes unconsciously waking them up. And just the general addiction that social media can cause, like constantly wanting to check it, or as soon as you hear your phone vibrate or ding, like, oh, I gotta do it, okay, or I gotta go check it out. So these are just a few of the things that our teenagers came up. Legal consequences. Real easy example, receiving or sending an inappropriate message, picture, video can definitely result in some legal stuff going on. There's also things like telecommunications harassment, if people are harassing others via social media. Somebody sends or receives inappropriate messages of child pornography, it can be a felony 2 or 3. Felonies make it really hard for somebody to get a job. So these are some things that you definitely need to have conversations with your teenagers about. And I actually asked a law enforcement person one time regarding this. I said, when we do this presentation, I know a question that's going to come up is, what if I find something inappropriate on my son or daughter's phone? What should I do? And my first instinct is, of course you should give it to the authorities, especially, for example, like if somebody, if an older man, if, for example, a boyfriend texts his girlfriend an inappropriate picture of himself, like regarding like pornography, and obviously, I don't want to, or if somebody gets that and they didn't ask for it, somebody just randomly sent it to them, that kind of stuff, like what do you do? Okay. my first thought was obviously tell the police, right? But they said, the law enforcement officer that I spoke to, they said, it's kind of a catch-22, because of course we want them to turn that in so we can, press charges and, deal with it appropriately. But then they said, but we also have parents that are sometimes mad because now that child has child pornography on their phone and they legally cannot give it back to the parent. So they actually have to confiscate the phone. However, if maybe you didn't do anything about it and you just deleted it, but later on the law enforcement pulls it for something else, or, they had a car accident, whatever, or something like that, and they have to pull, or something happens and they have to try to pull records off, that picture still may come up. It will still come up when they retrieve stuff off the phone. So kind of a catch-22, but obviously you do want to keep your child safe, and you don't want them to have that in their possession. All right, so a few more statistics. 88% of middle and high school students have access to a home computer. So 95% of 13 through 17-year-olds own a smartphone, right? And 90% of users text. And the average female in the age group, in the 13 through 17-year-old age group, sends and receives about 40 texts a day. And some of you parents or caregivers are thinking, no, like they're always on their phone, okay? But I want you to think, what are they doing? Are they texting, or are they snapping, or are they, communicating on Facebook Messenger or whatever? Okay, so most teenagers don't text a whole lot. They're usually on other social media sites, platforms, maybe communicating that way. So 84% of 13 through 17-year-olds have access to a game console. So this is 92% of boys in that age group. So video gaming is also very popular as well. Some Apple-specific tools that are out there, there's iCloud and AirDrop. Just to give you a quick rundown of this, how they can be dangerous. iCloud, for example, is the way to kind of share your files elsewhere because you may not have enough memory on your phone. Some problems that can come is if the wrong person gets that and they actually put inappropriate pictures in there or stuff like that, which has and does happen. AirDrop is something, I guess the best way I can describe it is like if you see the picture on the right side, for those of you who have an iPhone, there's something called AirDrop. So like, for example, I take a picture and you click it that you're going to send it to somebody. One of the options that might come up is AirDrop. So it's at the, in the middle there, it says tap to share with AirDrop. And so like if anybody, for example, in the room, like if I'm at a library and I push, hey, I'm going to send this picture to whoever, that AirDrop thing may come on. And if anybody within the library has their AirDrop on, I can actually send them that picture. Okay. If you can think about how this may be dangerous, okay, maybe you accidentally have it on, you didn't know, or you don't even know about this feature. Somebody could send you an inappropriate message without even you wanting it, right? So I would definitely check to make sure that's off. There's also a setting to have it for friends only. The good thing is, for example, if somebody tries to AirDrop me a picture, it actually alerts me and says, so-and-so wants to AirDrop a picture, do you accept? And obviously I can push no, but unfortunately, like if it's an inappropriate picture, like you still see the preview of it, so you can still see it. So you still kind of on your phone, if that makes sense. So those are just some Apple-specific tools that can be dangerous. There's obviously way more stuff out there that can be dangerous, but these are just some that I've heard in conversation that I've just wanted to share about. All right. So does anybody know what www means? When I ask this question, most times adults know what it is, but teenagers not so much. So it stands for the World Wide Web, okay, according to dictionary.com, which it does stand for the World Wide Web, but their definition is an information system on the internet which allows documents to be connected to other documents by hypertext links, enabling the user to search for information by moving from one document to another. So what I like to say here is that the World Wide Web literally means anybody in the world who knows exactly what they're doing can get your information. It's not private. It's not as private as we think it is, because it's, and there can be security issues, breaches, stuff like that. So anything that we're posting out there, somebody can have access to. All right, so these are just some popular games that may be inappropriate for younger players. There's obviously more than just this, okay? And a lot of it's up for debate in the sense of like the maturity level and that sort of thing. So Minecraft, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Roblox, NBA, Madden, MLB, and there's more. And I actually had my teenagers come up with this, which we could probably add some more to this even, that are coming out. I feel like there's always something new coming out. So, but some of these aren't necessarily like the content themselves aren't bad. It's sometimes a lot of these you can actually play with other people whom you may not know, like who are like on an Xbox, for example. And so a lot of times it's the language of the other people or what they're saying or what they're doing, that sort of thing. So definitely some things to be aware of as a parent, and to have those conversations about, are you playing with other people when you're on these games, and those sorts of things. And even just sometimes being in the room while they're doing it. Have that conversation like, hey, can you show me how this works? Okay. If they're not doing anything against your rules, they shouldn't have anything to worry about. And hopefully it'll encourage them to be safe about that. There is a such thing as a gaming disorder. So it's actually like a diagnosis, just like bipolar or depression or anxiety is a diagnosis. There is something called a gaming disorder. So you need to have 5 or more of these signs in a year to have the problem, according to the criteria that were proposed in the DSM-5. So this would be things like thinking about gaming all or a lot of the time, feeling bad when you can't play, needing to spend more and more time playing to feel good, not being able to quit or even play less, not wanting to do other things that you used to like, having problems at work, school, or home because of your gaming, playing despite these problems, lying to people close to you about how much time you spend playing, using gaming to ease bad moods and feelings. And these are, I'm sure some of these, like some people can even relate to social media in general, like feeling bad when you can't get on, stuff like that. And there's not a social media disorder in general yet, or addiction, but I wouldn't be surprised if that would be coming along. All right. And I just wanted to show you this real quick. I got most of my information off of these websites. So I wanted to share that with you.